And we built ThePoint so you could take these little flash widgets and embed them wherever you want on the web, like a YouTube video. So what we did was we created this thing called Groupon, and every day, this is a WordPress blog, and we would do a new post every day and embed a different campaign widget from ThePoint. And that was us from fall of 2008 through like early summer of 2009. This little bullshit thing that I whipped together in a month. But it worked. Okay, so now I'm going to go through some of the lessons that we've learned that allow us to be, I think, successful with Groupon where we failed with ThePoint. This first one, you're not building a piece of art, it's a tool. And for me, like when I originally had the idea for ThePoint, it started off as I was frustrated because I had to pay an early termination fee from the cell phone company. And everybody had that problem. I wish there was a way that we could all come together and just say, we're not going to pay this fee. You can't, you can't charge us all if we all refuse to pay. And then the more I thought about it, I realized that you could abstract that model and apply it to everything from organizing a small group of people to buy a ping pong table for their dorm, to boycotting multinational corporations, to group purchases for your local business, to funding a local park. And it became this vision of an idea, like a book. It became much more about being truthful and a complete representation of what the idea was than it was actually building something that was going to be useful. In fact, this down here, just to show you how extreme it was, we did a video, I did a video of myself in the year 2015 talking about like a world where ThePoint was fully mature that I then sent back in time to share with people as a way to like, it was so much more about the vision than it was about just figuring out how to make something useful. Now with Groupon, it was the total opposite. It was get away from the abstract and recognize that whatever you're building, you have about 1 second for people to look at it and decide if it has utility. And that's what Groupon was. I mean, even the whole collective buying thing is really minimized in our presentation. It's progressively disclosed. You might realize that when you show up, you just see half off a restaurant. That's awesome. And then once you buy, it's like, oh, we still need another 30 people to join. That's cool. Recognize and embrace your constraints. So we totally didn't do this with ThePoint. I mean, with examples like trying to build a dome over the city of Chicago, I mean, what was our plan to make that happen? It would just go viral. And honestly, when I created that campaign, I thought it would happen. I honestly thought, I mean, I thought there was a chance it could happen. So I learned this thing to embrace your constraints from Scott Heiferman at Meetup. This is, I just put this together for this slide, but this is a rough version of how he described to me what the first version of Meetup was. It was just a matrix of cities and of interests, and then you decide which one you're interested in. So if I'm interested in food in San Francisco, I click sign up, and it would say, okay, the meetup in your city is at this Starbucks at this corner, and we meet on the first Tuesday of every month, and if 4 people sign up, there's a meetup. If not, then not. So I think what Scott recognized is that it was going to be really hard, especially to get organizers, to get the human that's going to set all this stuff up and make those decisions about exactly what day should it be on, what should the location be. So he really simplified it, took away all the complexities, and just built this simple matrix that would allow it to start getting some traction. And we did the same kind of thing with Groupon. I mean, it's the whole business model, all the decisions we made were largely around living within the constraints that we had. We had this collective purchasing platform, but we didn't have customers, and we didn't have supply. We didn't have inventory of stuff to sell. So we decided, let's start in Chicago, because we can go to local businesses and get them to sign up. And let's only do 1 deal a day, because that's all the deals we could really get. And it was as simple as that. It was around trying, and it was the only way that our community is so small that we would have to channel the entire force of that community into one thing in order to get enough critical mass for the business to be willing to offer a discount. So now, as we're in a different reality, where we have different assets than we had when we started the business. We have completely different problems. We have, in a lot of ways, the opposite problems. We have more merchants that we can serve. Our biggest problem as a business is the fact that we have a 6-month backlist of businesses that want to be featured, which has led to the proliferation of these clones just to slop up all the people that we can't serve. We have tons of customers, and we have operations. We have a 2,500 person staff, 1,600 salespeople around the world, customer service and editorial. We have this kind of deal creating machine. So if we started the business with all these assets, we might make different decisions. And what we're working on now, the kind of product we're trying to build, is one that reimagines the business as if this is how it always was. So you can see we have this Groupon 1.0 and this Groupon 2.0, which is stuff that we'll be releasing over the coming months. But you can't get to Groupon 2.0 until you get along a certain curve in Groupon 1.0. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Okay. So have a growth plan. So from the beginning, we built into the model for Groupon how we were going to reach scale through email marketing largely. We knew that we were going to have crappy deals up from time to time, and it was going to be hard to get people to come back again and again to the site. So instead, let's get them signed up on an email list. Let's not push them to the deal. Let's push them to the sign-up form to the email list, because once they're engaged on email, then you can send them crappy deals 3 or 4 times before they want to unsubscribe. You get more chances before they tell you that screw yourself. And we obviously didn't have that at that point. I mean, how was this ever going to happen? Seriously, how in the world did I think this was going to happen? The best tools aren't always cool, the shiny object. So email, right? I would take one email address over 10 Twitter followers any day, or 10 Facebook fans. Email just works really well for our business. What else? Salespeople. I think maybe this is being from Chicago, but we view the idea of self-service with the same skepticism that someone from Google probably views the idea of hiring a salesperson. So, and that's part of what's made our business successful. In order to achieve real ubiquity with local merchants, you need to have a sales force, and we've invested in that. For PR, for getting the word out on your business. We actually, how many of you heard about Groupon first from like your girlfriend or your mom or something? So that's probably more than Foursquare, right? And we designed it that way. We specifically decided not to go after like the TechCrunch or to get posted on TechCrunch, because we knew the moment it would happen, all of you vultures would come along and abandon your fledgling social network for dogs to chase after whatever. Finally, this is a really important one. When I was working on ThePoint, I had this stupid attitude, like, if you build it, they will come. Nothing can go wrong. I can go out, and here's another question. This is the last time I'll do this. How many of you, raise your hand if you were the smartest person you've ever met? All right, how about if in the last year you still thought you were the smartest person you've ever met? No? Okay. Well, okay, so my theory is that a lot of kids who are starting startups are people who have had blessed lives, who have achieved everything they've ever done, and just failure doesn't seem realistic to them. Like they've never confronted real failure and looked it in the eyes and accepted it as something that could happen. I don't think you have to fail. I think you just have to realize that it could happen, because it shapes the way you make decisions. With ThePoint, everything was, all the decisions I were making were around, of course this is going to work. I can't go wrong. And with Groupon, even to this day, I'm thinking about all the ways I could screw up and how to avoid that. I think the best thing, my best trait as a CEO is the fact that I think I suck as a CEO. Because it means I surround myself with people who make up for all those things, and we have a great team and so on. So this is a picture from the lobby of Groupon when you walk in. We were on the cover of Forbes a couple weeks ago, and you can see that in the middle, and then surrounded by it are our other magazine covers with MySpace and Napster and AOL and Friendster and all these other failed businesses. So every time something great happens, I kind of look at it as my responsibility in the company to scare the shit out of people and remind them that there are a lot of people who've been in our place before where the story doesn't end up as rosy. And finally, you should quit now, because everything you go through is going to be telling you that over and over again. I mean, there were moments in our history when we were working on ThePoint that every sign pointed to quitting. It was totally irrational for us to keep going. We had so little. It's just that we were stubborn and we just refused to quit. And that's what the process is going to be like. And it's unbelievably hard, and you work nonstop. And anything that, like, for me as a human being, I feel like I've been raped of any personality. I mean, I used to be able to have a social conversation with people normally, but I've forgotten what that's like because all I think about in my brain is Groupon. And when this is over, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go back to being a normal person. This weird thing happened a couple days ago. I discovered Gmail shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts, and for the next few days, I just was like happy. And I didn't. And it was like, why? What is this feeling? It's so rare. Like I forgot about it. And it's like to be happy. And something like Gmail shortcuts make it happen. So I say quit now because if that actually works, then you should. Anyway, that's the end of my presentation. So I'll take some questions if anyone has.